Thank you so much. I'm Allie Wonderstall, and this is my colleague, Dara Sipe, and we're from All Our Kin. We actually have professional trajectories that kind of follow the organization's development. So we were both incidentally directors at a staff family child care network with All Our Kin before having the honor to move to technical assistants and share our work across the country. And so we were really excited to be invited as a model program because, as we all know, home-based care, which is the heart of All Our Kin, it's a preferred setting for many families, and it really provides a large proportion of childcare, particularly in low-income and communities of color. So if your project is involving childcare home providers in Indiana, we would love to talk to you and see if we can be a support. Next slide, please. So what are we seeing in the field? Educators are pouring themselves into the work of caring for our youngest children, but they're overburdened, they're underpaid, and they're leaving the workforce. This means that talented professionals are leaving the field and families are really scrambling for high quality care. So what do we do? All Our Kin, we are a national nonprofit. We've been around for over 20 years. And our mission is to train, support, and sustain family childcare or childcare home providers. And we do this to result in what we call a triple win. First of all, childcare providers succeed as business owners. Secondly, working parents find stable, high quality care for their children. And lastly, and most importantly, children are gaining an educational foundation that lays the groundwork for achievement. So how do we do it? You can see here on this slide, All Our Kin's vision. And this informs both our direct service work in community in Connecticut and New York, as well as our national technical assistance work. And focuses on the areas of quality, equity for families, equity for educators, and sustainability. Next slide, please. So why might you be interested in working with us? So we've been doing this work directly ourselves and still are in community for years, and we know that it works. So All Our Kin is one of a very few staffed family child care networks that has been around long enough to have a solid research base. And research both supports and informs our work. So we've achieved great results and ones that are very meaningful to the people experiencing them. So to give you just a little example, over a 10-year period in Connecticut where the supply or the number of family child care educators was actually falling, in All Our Kin network locations, it actually grew by 74%. Educators that are involved with All Our Kin network score over 50% higher on rigorous quality measures, and the children who are enrolled in those programs outperform their peers on national norms. Family child care educators involved with All Our Kin networks earn $5,000 more in their first year and $10,000 in their second. And of course, there's macroeconomic benefit. So we have a return on investment of $15 to $20 for every dollar that we invest in our networks. So our approaches are informed by these outcomes, but all technical assistance projects are really unique, and you'll have your own outcomes that you're seeking that we can support you on. The data from these studies are cited on the back of our network framework, and I think we shared those. Yeah, those are shared in the chat just to help bring to life for you what an All Our Kin network looks like, and you'll find the studies on the back, so you can take a look later. Next slide, and I'll pass it to Dara.
Thanks, Allie. Is this working? Okay, it looks good. So the big why behind our TA work is our goal to impact the supply, quality, and sustainability of family childcare across the country. How exactly do we do that? We know the importance of being centered in community from our direct service work in Connecticut and New York, and we bring that to our TA approach. We work with organizations to share the value-based strategies that we have learned that work, so our partners can bring them to family child care educators in their communities. We see this as an extension of our core value of equity and with our emphasis on partnerships. We are not trying to copy and paste many AOKs across the country. We value and honor the deep knowledge that our partners have of the challenges and the strengths of the local family child care context in their communities. And so our goal is to share our lessons learned that have yielded the impacts that Ali shared earlier, so that our partners can then implement them with educators in their communities. This is illustrated through our AOK mentor coach here on this slide, who is training staff at a partner organization that are in turn working directly with family child care educators in their communities. And then what makes, oh, you know what? I think our beautiful pictures are gone. We have some pictures on here of our trainings, but for us, what makes our TA approach so special is that it tracks back to our organizational values and the energy that we imbue in our interactions with family child care educators. And so we call this a parallel process. We center relationships, values, and joy with our TA participants, and we model that for them so that they then bring that back into their interactions with educators in their communities. We have a lot of fun doing this work, and we would love to share in that joy with y'all. Next slide, please. Okay, big props to Early Learning Indiana to making our slides look so nice. So what does our TA work really look like? We know family child care really well. In our direct service work, we operate out of three main buckets. We help new family child care educators start their businesses and become licensed. We offer business training as well as educational, coaching, and professional learning workshops. We work with local ecosystems to ensure that family child care is included in the conversation and that the conditions are in place for educators and the families in their programs to succeed. That looks like engaging in activities like sitting on early childhood councils, working with K through 12 school systems, and interfacing with workforce development sectors. In turn, our TA approach lines up with our direct service work. We help organizations, states, and communities like all of you here today to do this work themselves with a focus on setting up or building out staff family child care networks, which are the basic infrastructures for all these other supports. Offering high quality interactive training for your staff in licensing, business, education, which are all in depth within the specific context of family child care. And then providing policy advising so that to help others create the conditions for family child care to thrive. Now, what could our technical assistance look like for you in particular? So our TA can address these areas in a variety of ways and can range in intensity and approach as well as pricing. Since we have limited time, I will not go into all of our offerings, but of note in particular are Business National Train the Trainer, which equips your staff to teach AOK's business training to educators in your community to help them create sustainable long-term businesses. And our network development cohort, which helps organizations build staff family child care networks. This is what we are engaged in right now with an Indiana team, which is really exciting, composed of Early Learning Indiana, the Office of Early Childhood and Out of School Learning, a family child care educator, and Spark Indiana. So, as Ali mentioned, essentially, if you're engaged in anything related to home-based care, we would love to talk with you. And in the chat earlier, there was a link shared to a list of our offerings, and so feel free to check on that to get more in-depth descriptions of what all of our offerings are. All right, next steps. So we would love to have a conversation with you about how to support family child care educators in your community. If you have questions about anything in particular that we shared today, please feel free to send an email to Ali directly. Her email is in the chat, or we are offering bi-weekly, or that is twice a week, office hours from April 18th through May 19th, and you can sign up for that link using Calendly, which I don't know if that was shared in the chat. I think it was actually. So feel free to do that, and then we can have a one-on-one conversation about how All Our Kin might be able to support your application. Finally, if you're going to the IAUIC conference on May 6th, you'll have an opportunity to meet our coworker Jen Drake and the Indiana team working on our network development cohort, which could be a great opportunity for you to hear more about what's going on with that partnership. And we'd be really interested to deepen our work with Indiana partners. Thank you so much for having All Our Kin here today. It was also really special to hear from the other model programs, and we look forward to being in touch.